Hello and welcome. Today we're doing a machine on Hack the Box called Flight. It is a hard active directory machine, so let's get into it. So first thing I like to do, always, export the target, just makes the future scans a lot more convenient. So then let's scan the target, and then let's see what we have. So on this particular host, we can immediately see we have put 80. Okay. So there's no starting credentials. Let's just see what type of domain it is. We can see that it's called Flight, Hack the Box. Let's see. I think we can do this. Yes, that's gonna work fine. So if I ping this, it resolves. Alright, so let's just check out the website. So these are Twitter links right here. Contact. It doesn't seem to go to any particular place. Let's see. We're definitely gonna brute force as well. Let me check out the domain as well. Go aviation. I don't think this is something. Nah. Yeah. Let's just get some brute force going. So let's check for some directories. This is gonna look for common files actually. Let's see if robots.txt has anything interesting. Does not. So we can see this is PHP. So let's see if it has a index PHP. No. Let's just run this for now. Let's see what we get. So HTML. Okay. Let's look for some directories now. So let's see, we can see images. For 3 PHPM and examples gives a 503, which is kind of interesting. Service unavailable, okay. Yeah. Let me just come back to you in a little bit when this is done scanning, and also when the unwrap is done scanning as well. And then I would like to check if there is something in this directory possibly. And then I would also like to check with just a general scan using big.txt. And then I would also like to check for some subdomains as well, since this is a since it has a domain, right? So let me just tag like this, and then also some general files. And Go was their health. Commute status. Can. So it wants us to do 399. Let's try that. But there's evidently going to be some boring scanning. Let me check for some directories. And then let me also check with the big TXT, both in this directory, but also just at the base directory as well. And then after that, we'll get back to some subdomain fuzzing as well. So let me just get back to you after I have scanned right here. So as I said, just did some more scanning on this endpoint right here for files as well. Didn't find anything. And now I'm just doing the same at the base directory right here. But I'm gonna use big TXT with these extensions. And I don't really expect hiding anything, but the nmap scan is done. So let's see what type of ports we are working with. So we have 80 DNS. We could try something like DNS recon. Try this. Okay. I guess I can add this, but I don't think it's gonna do anything. Yeah. We can try some other DNS related things as well. So something like this. Transfer, yeah. Okay. Has it spawned anything? Probably not. Let's say images index. Yeah. Really not interesting. Yeah, definitely not anything interesting. So let's do the subdomain enumeration. I think that makes a lot of sense to do here. So let's say passing subdomains like this. Yeah, let's try this. So let's say this is now HTTPS. Light, hike the box. We can do that wordless right there. Light, hike the box, and we don't need to output anything yet. Okay, and so we can filter by filter words 1546, because all of these are not going to be correct. And there we go. Okay, so we do have a subdomain. that is good. Let's add that to the Etsy host. Like school. Apply hack the box like so. All right. So do you have images here as well? I guess I can grab this just to be paranoid. Yeah. Yeah, this is not interesting at all. Let's see what else we have. Okay, here we have, so this is probably the way, let's see, Apache, PHP. So all we can see is the Apache. And yes, okay, so this is most likely the way. So when we see something like referencing a page like this, like whether it's a view or a file or open or something like that, we definitely want to check for like LFI, right? Or even RFI. So, but this is not a Linux host. You could also ping Linux host as well. And if it's about 60 or so TTL, you know it's Linux. It's a cool little trick. So the fact that this is like 127 or so, we know that this is Windows. But yeah, we already knew that, right? Because it's a domain controller, but it's just the cool thing. All right. So I guess I would like to use... This is probably not going to find anything else. Doesn't hurt too much to have it running. So... We can do this. And substitute it with this URL right there. And then we can fuzz this right there. Let's just run that. Then I want to take a look at this. Okay, so it does have some... It does have some Windows stuff. So let me just run it. And let's see. We can at least filter... Let's try filter line of 32, like so. Okay. Let's do that as well. Filter size 1170. Okay. So whatever this did, it responded differently. Okay. Okay. Either there's some log file, or it also accepts RFI as well, which is possible, or we could possibly try stealing hashes with NTLM. Hmm. the most difficult would probably be to find some local file. I guess the responder is easiest to check. Let's do that. With responder you can use, but you have to make sure that you use it with -A, so that it only analyzes. It doesn't do any spoofing or like poisoning the broadcast connections. So suspicious activity blocked. Okay. We can do it like so as well. If it blocks this. And it does not. Okay, so this works. Now, this is not an NTLM hash, right? It is a net NTLM v2 hash. This is, by the way, a thing you should always do when you're on a Windows machine. If you see LFI like this, you always want to check like a path like so. Let's try cracking this. Again, I don't know if this is the right way or whatnot, but we can at least attempt so. And if this doesn't work, then I want to try RFI as well. And if that doesn't work, then we just have to keep trying with LFI, see if there's any like credentials anywhere on host. But yeah. So John word list user share word list rocky.txt, and then on the hash. And let's see. Okay, awesome. So I guess this was probably the intended way then. That's pretty cool. That's yeah, that's pretty cool. So so let's see, creds. And then service Apache. So this is good. Now we have some credentials to work with. Yeah. So from here we have a lot more access, right? So let's see. Service Apache. The password is going to be this. And let's check for users. Junior web developer, help desk. So we don't see any credentials in the description field. That's fine. But let me grab all the users. Read root like so, let's say. Let's try that. And there we go. So now we have the users. So it just makes sense to check for ASAP roast now. So let's do that. We always want to check that we have a list of all the users. No matter whether we have some access or not, it just makes sense. So let's see, fly attack the box. Okay, so nothing sadly worked there. All right. Let's take a look at the shares. We can also check for curb boosting as well. Definitely gonna do that. So we do have, we do definitely have several shares, interesting, that are non-default. Yeah, okay, this is quite interesting. But first I would definitely like to check for curb roasting. Just so we make sure that we have actually checked for it. Target like so. Apply attack the box. Service Apache. And then the password is this. Let's try that. No entries found. All right. Yeah, no entries found. Okay. So let's just start enumerating those shares, because they look pretty interesting. So, whoops. Let's go from the share. Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. This might actually be the first machine we've done that has some level of hash stealing. The reason I'm thinking it is because it says shared, right? It's not public or anything else. It might be a clue, but it might very well not as well, right? But yeah, we can't write anything regardless, so it doesn't matter. Let's check out the shared first, and then let's go downwards. That's another tip as well. Like, now again, I have no clue if this is the case or not, but you always want to think about stuff like this. If the machine is giving you some type of clue that isn't default, it's a good idea to be thinking, why is it named that way, right? Are they trying to hint that there's some level of client attack? Let's see. Okay, so nothing there. Let's check the users. Okay, Jesus Christ. That was a lot. Let me... Let me try that. Okay, so this is going to remove the directories, I believe at least. So this is a lot of LNK files. So we're going to do something like this, huh? This is definitely not pretty, to say the least. But let's just try this for now. You can probably do something like exclude the file type and then... but it seems like this is working. Because we don't really care about LNK files or INI files. So let's see, this is the user... Okay, so it didn't find anything at all. And just to verify that that's properly worked, it's probably going to show several stuff now, eventually. Yep, so yeah, that worked. Let's see, we checked the users, and then now let's check. Let's check web as well. We cannot write to any one of them, we can only read. Jesus Christ. Bunch of gifts. I guess we haven't checked the about me, or like the about page. Yeah, nothing interesting. LFI HTML, is that actually a file? Okay. It was. So yeah, this is all right. Huh? So it does not look like there's anything interesting at all, to be honest. Huh? Not that I can see, at least. Huh? So let's see. We have not checked. Is there anything that we haven't checked in the shares? We don't have right access to anything. This was the web. Users didn't have anything interesting. Web didn't really have anything interesting, nor did shared. So, all right. Let's check Venerum as well. See if we can actually get access anywhere. We can't. Okay. Let's check with Certify as well. There was Apache, fly attack the box, password is this. I think that looks fine. Let's try that. And we can't authenticate to the Active Directory Certificate service. It seems like... All right. Then the next thing that I would like to do is to get BloodHound up and running. So yeah, let me just do that, and I'll be right back once I've set BloodHound up and ingested everything. So yeah, be right back then. And the data just ingested, so yes. Now we can go and explore them. So, the creds, we have Service Apache that we have managed to get access to. Add to owned. So he does not have any outbound object control, sadly. Member of... Yes, so he's not member of remote management users or anything like that. Let me check the let me check LDAP and if I can't find anything there, then I feel like I've missed something in the SMB shares. Flight. hack the box. Let's try that. Okay. Yeah. Probably nothing here, to be honest. Let's see. I did check with Venom, right? It's just a double check. Yes, I did. Okay. Yeah. What I think I do then is that I download everything on disk from the shares, like so. And let's just see what we can find. We don't have any special ports. We don't have any more subdomains to check. So I really think that and this is correct as well, right? Service Apache at flight hack the box. These creds, yeah. It really should be correct. But can't access it. Let me just be right back. When this is done, it's probably going to grab a lot of data. Because I think it was a user folder that had a lot, so yeah. Just be right back. I'll wait. It finally downloaded. And I just went over the share again. And yeah, as we came to the conclusion before, there was nothing. Pretty much just checked because there was nothing else to do. So now these have downloaded. It said 4 download fail. So that might be a bit worrisome, but we can see at least some unique extensions. So let's see. Web, there is nothing. Yep. I doubt this is anything. Yeah. Default. Yeah, this can't be anything. This can't really be anything else either. Fine. Let's check the other shares as well. Let's check. Let's check net logon, and then let's check Chisel. Nothing. Let's check Chisel. We don't care about the in files. We don't care about this header. Yes, nothing interesting. And I guess let's check this as well. There's really nothing I can find. There's... I should have done this early. Let's try spraying this password. If not, then I'm not quite sure what to do. Because I feel like we tested pretty much everything we can. But yeah, let's try that. Yes, and then... let's take that password, right? And user list, and continue on 6 tests. And let's do that over all the protocols. WinRM, SMB, and also LDAP. Ooh, there we go. So, there we go. So that was the path. Yeah. I did all the time-consuming things first, and then I did this. But yeah. That is, of course, my fault. So let's see. All right, so now we have limit check with WinRM as well. And their name was what? Today, let's say. Okay, so none of that worked. So their name is S-Moon. Let's have a look at S-Moon as well. And let's add him to Pond. And he is also not remote management because we would have seen that. Alpha and object control, yes. So. Anyone with desync? Nope. Cabroastable, it shouldn't be. Same thing with dash roastable. Shortest path from one object. Yeah, to just member of these groups. Domain users, that's not interesting. Shortest path to domain admin. Yeah, obviously we don't have access to these users or groups, so... Okay. So we can't get shell. But... we can try certify again. And we can also see the shares as well. That's pretty much all that's changed. Kerberos hasn't changed. So I would say S-Moon with that password. Let's try that. Right, yeah, we can't connect. So pretty much everything that's changed only is the... possibly the shares. So let's see. S-Moon. Let's try that. Is it target down? No. There we go. And okay, so yes, we can read and write, so I'm probably correct, but let's see. So, of course, what I'm thinking, right, because it's a shared folder, we can put some Antilum stealing files there. I think it works with, it at least works with the LNK. I think URL it might work with as well. INI. Some of them have been outdated, but it depends on when this box was made, right? But yeah, let's just test with the files. So let's see. Hash stealing. GitHub. Share. Not outload. There we go. This was the one I was after. I think this one has all of them. Yeah. So browse the folder containing any of these files, and then you will be able to essentially, if another user goes to a folder in an SMB here, and you put this file right there, you will essentially try to go to the icon of that file, and then that icon will be linked back to your share. So then it tries to essentially authenticate towards your share, which as a result will give you net Antilum B2 hash. But yeah, let's just try this right here. So we will be essentially doing something like this. Let me just do that. So we have it in the history. So okay. So it wants this. Let's do this. Let's try that again. There we go. And so we can go to test, and we should have all of the files. So yeah, let's try going to that place. Let's see. So the user we are using is Estmoon. We're going to target and then shared. So yeah, there is nothing here. So let's see. We can put this one, for instance. Okay. So we can do this again, and then it said exit and IND. Let's say. So this one got put, but not this one. I see. Let's try this one. They might have... okay, so they have blocked... God, that's annoying. They've blocked different file types. So I guess let's just put a lot of them. Okay, yeah, so we can't do that either. Onto that either. We have responder running, so I'm just going to put as many files as I can to see which one is actually allowed to be put in there. Quite annoying, but that is fine. Let's say... Okay, so this one did work. Let's just see what else you can put. There we go. Okay, so it was probably the INI file then. Awesome. So yeah, this is why share names also matters, huh? Now that is awesome. So we have another hash. Whoops. So we have another hash. Awesome. So let's put another hash. Let's do John word list equals user share word list rock, yeah, and then hash 2. Let's hope this one cracks as well, and yes, it does. So this one is called CBOM. And I guess we have... what's it called? S-Moon? Yes. Alright, so these are the credentials that we have. I guess we can, doesn't really matter. So, CBOM. So open this in the background, and yes. So let's try with the new credentials. Let's try spraying all of them, and let's see what. Okay, this doesn't have to keep triggering. I guess the creds part can be I guess the creds part can just be the passwords. That is fine. Dant. Okay, let's try this. Continue on success. So we know that ADCS doesn't work. We have access to S-Moon. We have access to Apache. T-Bomb. I guess we need to add right here to see if he can do anything. Add to owned. He also can't really do anything when it comes to outbound object control. So BloodHound hasn't been that useful. Let's see what he's a member of. Web devs. Okay. Web devs. Doesn't seem like he can do much though. So this shouldn't work with the Venerable, but doesn't hurt to do it. So yeah, none of them can really do anything. And again, this is completely useless. We don't have access to this, right? So, to just find anything. Yeah. It did not, but that's expected because he's not part of the group Windows Remote Management. So we can still see we can see if anything has accessed or changed when it comes to the access to share. He was part of a interesting group, the web dev. So it's possible he has some write permissions. At least that's what I'm thinking. Whoops. So we need to SMP as well. But let's see. I feel like some fucking prophet. But yeah, that was correct. Awesome. So, from what I remember from earlier, we have access to both of these. So you can probably just put a web shell there or something. So yeah, let us do that. So let's see. We need a PHP web shell. We can use something simple like this. Then we can grab this. So CMD, that should be fine. And and then web, and the user is T-bomb. Like so. Let's see. We can then go to fly, attack the box, like so. And then let's put test PHP, and then let's see if we can actually access it. So fly it, hack the box, like so, and then test PHP. Okay, awesome. So now we actually have code execution. So the one of my preferred ways is revchess.com. Then we can go to Windows, PowerShell, like so. This should be correct, yeah. And then we can set up a listener, like so. And then partial XT -c for command. Put those in quotations. And there we go. Now we have a shell. So let me go to tasks. And then let's just try to run power up, and let's check our permissions. Immediately not something super interesting. So yeah, let's just run power up, just like that. And let's see. Power up piece 1, And then we can output it right here. So far not super interesting permissions. We still have some credentials, but we only have one shell. We can try to access those later. If it's needed. Ooh. So let's see. This looks interesting. So we can modify this executable to the service right here. Can restart false. Okay, so if we can... Let's take a look at the service. It's currently running. And the executable is here. Now, it's at can't restart, so... If we can't modify this service, then it doesn't matter. Access denied, okay. Yep. And what groups are we in again? So we don't have any shutdown privilege. Okay, so sadly we can't do anything with that. Then I do just think it's win peace time. So yeah. Let me run win peace, and I will let you know if we find anything interesting. Just because it takes such a long time. So I'll be right back. So, pretty much went through all of the outputs, and could not find anything interesting with power up or win peace. The only thing that actually was interesting that I found with win peace, it shows an NTLM v2 hash that we already have. Not interesting. But it did show a non-default port, which you can do it like so. So everything here is default, default, but right here. So we have a port on 8000 that if you check with Nmap, we cannot see externally, right? So it's a... port that's unreachable internally, and typically 8000 is some form of web server, which is interesting. Now, it's probably a different. We can see that it's under a different process ID. There are some services that runs under the same process ID, as you can see. So that is interesting. So. So you can do something like, if you want to find out who owns the process, or at least try to, you can use get process ID and then the ID of 4. In this case, it's going to be the, let's see, PID 4. I think this is a system. So the reason why we're checking it is because I want more information surrounding the process, right? Because it's a non-default port, and I want more information on what's running there, possibly who is running there, etc. So, process ID is 4 is always assigned to the system process, yes. Including drivers, possible high disk, blah, 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 blah. The system process isn't just one single entity, it's more like a container for various kernel mode components. Put in drivers and services. Okay. So it is interesting that it's running under a different process ID. But let's get information about, let's see, get process ID 4. And then, so we can see that system. I think you can do also this to get a lot more information. Select the object like so. Then it can take all of the properties. And then you'll get a lot more information. So, system ID 4. Process name system. So let's do the same with the other, for instance, the normal website. So like this. So we can see that the default Apache one is running as the process ID 5616. So we can do the same 5616 and process name HTTPD. You can see that it says that it's a Apache server. It even gives us the version of it, right? So we know that this is the Apache. And we can also see the path to the executable. It says name. I think there's a way to get the username. I might have it in my notes somewhere, but let's see. So we can, for instance, run iCackles. And we can see that the user service Apache, which is the user that we have shell on right now, pretty much can read and execute and write to this binary, right? So it's pretty obvious that this is running under that context. Let's see. Process. Get process. Something like, I think this is the way you can do it. So yes, so pretty much like this. And you can get the get owner, and it's actually able to retrieve that it's this specific owner, right? We were able to deduce it using iCackles, right? It seems the most likely. Process well, we know that the Apache service, when we got a shell from it, right? We landed under the context of service Apache, so that is pretty deducible. We can also run it on the 4, but we don't really get an owner here. I guess it's not able to retrieve that information because it's a system process, but we know at least that it's running under a different user, right? Or at least it's quite possible. And even if we know or didn't know that, it just makes sense to check out because it's the only interesting thing so far. Now we still have some creds. That makes sense to check out, right? So you can use a tool called runas to essentially do this. But let's check out the service that's running on port 8000 first. And again, it is most likely a web server, and the way that we will be able to interact with it is by using Chisel. So we have to do not that. So we have to be able to essentially port forward it, so that we can interact with it, hopefully in our own browser, etc. So we need a Linux one. So like that. Let's probably get it. And then unzip Chisel. Sorry. gzip. Like so. Cat Chisel. There it is. We can move Chisel to this. Make it executable. But the most interesting takeaway so far is just we saw a non-default port. That's interesting. Okay. And these more fancy techniques of getting more information can be helpful to clarify that we don't know the path sadly of the other because it's running as a system process, and I'm not quite sure how to retrieve that, but that's okay. Hopefully you can find out. So we need one for Windows as well. So we can do this one right here. It's just running as the same version, so let's probably get that as well. We can just call it something like Chisel Windows XE. Doesn't matter. All right. So let's host the web server here. And then let's wget, what do I call it? Chisel Windows XE, Chisel Windows.exe, and we can output it into Chisel Windows XE, like so. Alright, so now that we have it transferred, we can run Chisel. So let's say so server P 8081 and then -- reversed. That looks correct. And then on the Windows side, we can run just Windows XE. With client IP port. Okay, so client. Okay. So like so, and then rsock. There we go. So now we have a session established. Now, one thing I like to make sure that I have is just that in the proxy chains config, I have it as SOX5 and then running on 1080. That's just how I like to do it. So, if you want to do the same, feel free. We can also run this as a background process. So when I run jobs, it's running there. And so we have this port, right? So let's try to reach it if it is actually a website. So we can do something like proxy chains, curl, and then it will be on our local host with how SOX proxies work and Chisel. So we can reach that one on 8000, I believe. And let's try that, and there we go. So we can actually reach this website now, which is very, very cool. So we can do the same. We can do the same in the browser if we use Foxy Proxy and Proxy Chains. So go to Proxy right here. Make sure that you're using SOX5, listening on the loopback address, and then the port. And in my case, I use 1080 as I said. So yeah. So now we can go to localhost in an 8000, I believe, making sure we have this toggled on, and we can already see that it's trying to find a flight, which is cool. And yeah, here we go. The simplest way, since again, it does not seem like it's running under the same process ID or the same user as the normal website does, then the simplest way would essentially be to create a web shell in this directory and then execute it from here, right? So let's try to do that. And there we go. So this one is running like so. So let me just get a new shell if I can. Let's see, where's Rochelle? Rochelle is here. Failed to open stream, permission denied. Okay. So perhaps the shell died. So if I do nodes, let's put in the password again. Let's just make a new one, native a name. And then let's go to flight, hack the box, put test1 PHP. Like so. Try again. Okay, there we go. And I want a new shell. Let's see, where are we? Okay. So PowerShell exe -c quote. Do I have the listener? Yes, I do. Execute. Boom. Awesome. So it is definitely taking forever. So let me just get back once the site is a bit more responsive. All right, so the site is slightly responsive again. And we can see that the going to a 404 essentially reveals exactly where it's stored. So we can pretty much just go here and just have a lot of ways to figure it out as well, right? Can open this, try to find this file on disk, but yeah, this is just faster. So let's go here. Let's see if we can write something. So test.txt, and we can't write some. So I don't have privileges to write, but we can immediately see what iCackles, right? That's someone that can, is CBOM. And CBOM is actually someone we do have creds for, but we never were able to get a shell with CBOM because he's not a local admin to get a shell over SMB, and it's also not a remote Windows management, right? To get a shell over WinRM. So net user CBOM. He's also in web dev, so as we can see. So yeah, it seems like he can write. Well, we know that he can write to this directory. So let us get our shell that way. And a way we can actually achieve this is using a tool called runas. Windows does have a built-in runas, but it does not work in a shell, like in a normal reverse shell session that we obviously have right here. And runas is pretty much a tool designed for this purpose. Thought that we were able to move to a different user and run commands and even get a reverse shell by simply knowing their credentials and that user being on the computer, right? And our good friend CBOM is that. So let us get a lovely shell. So let's see, run as GitHub, I believe. Yes, this looks correct. And we had to stop the proxy chain session because if not, then it would try to route the traffic through this machine, and this VM does not have internet access. That's why I turned that off, just to make it clear. And we can grab this zip right here. There we go. And so we have two binaries. So let us do it like so. We don't have write permissions here, so we need to move. Let's go back to tasks, and then let's get a file. Like so. All right. So there is a way let's just go under the usage. Yeah, there is a simple way like so that we can pretty much get a shell. So let's do that. So run as the user is going to be cbum. The password is going to be this. Put this in quotations. And I want the shell over 4444. There we go. So if I see who I am now a cbum, which is awesome, right? It's very useful when you actually have a lot of access, which in a way we did because we had a lot of credentials that we were able to abuse when it comes to shares and the access over the shares earlier, but now we're able to leverage it to get another shell. We can check the permissions, and we don't have any interesting privileges, and we are in this group, right? So now if we go to C inetpub development, whoops, not there, like so, and if I then try to write something like this, then we can see that we're able to write. So that's awesome. So so let's try to essentially to put a shell right here. So web shell. Do something like this. So on this user again, we do test ASPX, output test ASPX. Then we take our IP, transfer the file like so. We don't have wget because it's PowerShell. Then we can run PowerShell exe. I believe that should work. There we go. And if we now try to go back to the web server, like so, test ASPX. I have no idea what the auth key is. Okay, there we go. So we now, this user, right? So this is actually not a user that we can see in a normal context. Because if we run that user, we don't see that user, right? It's something built in. And yeah, seeing that it's running under a system context in the this socket when we're checked for non-default ports is definitely useful, so that we don't just get a shell on the same user, right? Yeah. This user has a lot of rights. And they're a part of SE impersonate, right? So this should be a decent, or this should be simple prevest. But yeah, I guess let's get another reversal. So PowerShell exe theme. Let's go to our shell right here. Let's put that in. We have a listener there. Let's try to execute that. And there we go. Now we are running under this context, and given the rights, they should be decently clean. So let me go to Privacy again. And we need to transfer over some tools. So let's say we can try something like we can try this first. So let's try this Prince buffer first. Then we can transfer over this as well. All right. Let me get back to this. The transfer over fine. And let's do the same with this. All right. So we can try this one first. See how this goes. The file is frozen, so either it's very, very slow or I have to redo this. So yeah, let me kill the shell again and re-trigger it. Okay, this one is loading still. And it seems like this file got removed. So then we have to get back here. Upload it again. Access it again. And we need that key. This is a long box, but it's pretty cool. And let's see, do I have a listener ready? I do. Let's execute that. Retriever shell again. Go back to C Windows tasks. Let me get another shell as well, just for safety. So we tried God Potato. We can try it in some different ways as well. But let me just try Prince Poofer for now. Okay. That failed. And how would I like to try to say so? This is also hanging, so let me just grab sweet potato as well. We want to try all of the potato attacks. Okay. There we go. For this work, it just took some time. And yeah. So that was the box. It was a pretty cool box, and really hope you learned something useful from this box. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and keep studying, and best of luck. Now, if you enjoy how I teach, and you enjoy this video, and you want to take the OSCP, then what are you doing not being in this course? It's over 15 hours long, and it covers everything that you need. If you're only watching the videos on YouTube, you're missing out a lot, because it's over 15 hours of content. You will get access to the VIP section on Discord, where you can ask me any questions and you can study alongside all the other students in our course. Right now, you will also get access to this checklist right here, which will cover at least 95% plus of all the attacks and all the techniques that you need to know for every single section. Not only initial access, but AD, pivoting, Linux, and Windows privilege escalation. And the goal for you is to reach proficient or at least basic competence on all of them. That's one of the things. We also have this entire roadmap right here, where there's a bunch of action steps and a bunch of cheat sheets inside all of these hyperlinks that I can't show you in this video. But once you have completed all of them, you know for a fact that you will be ready to get into the OSCP exams and absolutely crush it. If that sounds interesting to you, to get all of this in 15 hours plus of video footage of someone who has OSCP, who explains different attacks and techniques and methodologies, it's going to be invaluable to you. Now, some people are confused with the offer. If you're interested in the notes, these are the notes that you will constantly see me use in the videos, right? They're pretty much recommended to go hand in hand with the course, and I use them constantly in the course itself, right? So I think you'll find it extremely useful. That's also why we have the third offer, which is the bundle, where you can buy both of these together for a discount. I hope that clarifies things. Best of luck on your OSCP journey. I really hope this will be massively useful to you. I'll see you in the next video.